In a faraway land, there was a young prince who everyone called too slow. Not because he wasn't clever, but because he always took his time to think before acting. While his brothers, Prince Corwin and Prince Lyle, were bold and decisive, Prince Darien would sit quietly, watching and waiting. "He's too soft to be king," Corwin would sneer. "He doesn't know how to lead," Lyle would add. Even the villagers whispered, "How can a prince like that rule a kingdom?" But Darien didn't argue. He simply smiled and said, "The strongest trees take the longest to grow." One day their father, King Eldred, grew ill. The kingdom held its breath, waiting for the king's decision on who would inherit the throne. One evening, the king summoned his 3 sons to his chamber. "I cannot choose my heir based on words alone," the king said in a weak voice. "You must prove yourselves. Each of you will go to a village in the kingdom, solve their greatest problem, and return in 1 year. Whoever shows true wisdom will wear the crown." The princes bowed and prepared for their journeys. The journey begins. Corwin set off with a troop of soldiers, ready to solve problems with his strength and authority. "A king must show power," he declared. Lyle carried a chest of gold and his best books. "A king must use his wit and resources," he said. Darien packed only the essentials and told no one of his plans. "A king must first understand his people," he whispered. The villages and their problems. Corwin's village. The bandit threat. Corwin's village was under constant attack from bandits. Without hesitation, Corwin led his soldiers to hunt down the bandits. He fought bravely and defeated them, earning the villagers' cheers. But after Corwin left, the village realized the bandits were only part of the problem. The villagers had no guards, no training, and no resources to defend themselves. Soon new bandits moved in, worse than the last. Lyle's village. The failing crops. Lyle's village was suffering from a terrible drought. The fields were dry, and hunger was everywhere. Using his gold, Lyle bought water and food from neighboring towns, saving the villagers for a time. But the drought continued, and the villagers became dependent on Lyle's purchases. When his gold ran out, they were left worse off than before, with no solution to their long-term problem. Darien's village. The divided people. Darien's village wasn't facing war or drought. It was divided by arguments. The farmers blamed the merchants for unfair prices. The merchants blamed the blacksmiths for poor tools. Everyone was angry, and no one trusted one another. Instead of rushing to fix the problem, Darien spent weeks simply listening. He visited the farms, the shops, and the homes of the villagers. He asked questions but gave no commands. Slowly, he began to see the root of the problem. The villagers had no system to work together. Darien's solution. Darien called a meeting in the village square. "You're all good people," he said, "but you've forgotten how to trust one another. Let's build something together." Under Darien's guidance, the villagers worked to create a new marketplace. Farmers, merchants, and blacksmiths agreed on fair prices and trade rules. Darien encouraged them to settle disputes through discussion, not anger. Over time, the village began to thrive. "Why didn't you force us to fix things sooner?" an elder asked one day. "Because real solutions take time," Darien replied. "I didn't want to fix the problem for you. I wanted to help you fix it yourselves." The return to the palace. A year later, the 3 princes returned to the palace to present their results. Corwin's boast. Corwin described his battle with the bandits and the cheers of the villagers. Lyle's confidence. Lyle explained how he saved his village with his gold and clever deals. Darien's story. Darien spoke of his divided village and how they worked together to rebuild trust. The king listened carefully. Then he asked each prince a single question. To Corwin, "What happens if more bandits come?" Corwin frowned. I didn't think of that." To Lyle, "What happens when the drought continues?" Lyle hesitated. "They'll need more gold, I suppose." Finally he turned to Darien. "And you, my son, what happens to your village now?" "They don't need me anymore," Darien said with a smile. They've learned to solve their own problems. The king's decision. King Eldred stood and placed his crown on Darien's head. A true king does not seek praise or quick fixes. A true king builds something that lasts. Darien, your patience and wisdom have earned you the throne. Corwin and Lyle were disappointed but couldn't argue. They saw the truth in their father's decision.